Just now, Lu Xing brought his family to the newly purchased seaside villa. Red River Martial Arts, somehow getting the news, actually came over to help move. Miss and I, do you like my brother? I can get him for you. The next moment, Lu Xing pressed his sister down. What nonsense are you talking about? Go and train right now. Before we knew it, tomorrow is the unified examination, and our family now has a private martial arts training room. Father suggested whether we should visit the neighbors, since we just moved in. Lu Xing wanted to go with his father because this area is a high-end district, and it would be bad if someone troublesome bothered his father, but his father insisted on not letting him go, especially since the exam is tomorrow. Just review well. If our family produces a martial arts top scholar, it will bring honor to our ancestors. So, the first thing I did when I got back to my room was to enter a dream. Now, Lu Xing is at the peak of level 4, sufficiently qualified to step into level 5. Although Lu Xing can ascend to level 5 at any time, he has been holding off due to repeatedly tempering his internal energy. His originally pale golden internal energy has turned into amber, circulating within his body, and soon the third tempering will be completed, which will increase his power several times. I'm here again. She still stands proud and noble in this icy snow, inspiring fear in all who see her. Come on, today's practice session begins. Red and blue fill the sky, and now Lu Xing can achieve 20 times stellar force, blocking attacks instantly. Lu Xing swung a punch at the female grandmaster's face, but she reacted quickly, twisting her foot and kicking towards Lu Xing's waist, sending him flying 100 meters. As an explosion sounded, Lu Xing activated all 4 breathing techniques, with the breath of flame reaching level 2, capable of igniting fireballs and unleashing a strong explosive splash damage. The female grandmaster caught it with one hand, a slight smile on her lips, her body covered with ice spikes. The next moment, a large ice cone grew from the female grandmaster, and luckily, Lu Xing reacted in time, otherwise, the ice cone would have severely injured him. I've been seeking her as a practice partner frequently, and now I can last 5 minutes under her without dying, a far cry from being instantly killed at the beginning. Now the complete martial path has integrated into my body, and if I bring all my martial arts to the intricate mastery level, the complete martial path might even advance further. Before Lu Xing could react, the chilling pressure from the female grandmaster was already flying towards him, making Lu Xing step back slightly intimidated. Okay, I can't beat you now, but don't be smug. After the unified examination, my authority will definitely break through level 4, and then I will unlock the subsequent techniques of the 3 great level 11 martial arts. Once my strength breaks through again, stepping into level 5, I should be able to defeat you. As I sparred more with the female grandmaster, my desire for the grandmaster martial arts that condense ice into spears grew stronger. However, Lu Xing now has his own weapon, one that cost a whopping 2.7 billion, the endless blade wheel. This ordeal has left me with only a few million to my name. No wonder Mindweaver is so costly. It's a money-burning bottomless pit of a profession, but as costly as it is, the weapon is worth it. Even 10,000 years later in martial arts, Mindweaver remains a highly sought-after top-tier profession. Over the past 2 months, Lu Xing has also mastered a lethal technique from the level 5 martial arts of the endless blade wheel, described in the Fire Seed database in just 3 words: can cut a grandmaster. If level 5 can cut down a grandmaster, what about level 6 or even 7? Damn, her defense is too formidable. Ordinary moves of the endless blade wheel can't touch her. If I use the strongest move of the endless blade wheel, I might severely injure the female grandmaster, but then my mental energy would be depleted, and I would be killed by her spear. Now, under the enhancement of the immortal golden body and the breath of wind, my speed is comparable to hers. As long as I don't intentionally expose myself, she can't touch me. Unfortunately, there's no suitable opponent to spar with now. The female warrior goddess is too strong for trial and error. Forcing a fight now would result in her injuring me fatally. I don't even know my limits. However, tomorrow's unified examination might provide an opportunity to test this. I'm coming for the provincial top scholar, but my goals go far beyond that. On the day of the unified exam, Lu's mom prepared his favorite meat buns and prayed, may little Xing score well on his exam. His sister expressed a desire to go too. Good, you can experience the tension of the exam beforehand. Son, do your best. No matter the outcome, you are the pride of mom and dad. At this moment, Lu's dad, driving, urged everyone to hurry. We might be late for the exam. Son, do your best. Our family's hope for a martial scholar rests on you. His sister remarked, Dad, am I someone you picked up from the riverside? 25 minutes later, they arrived at the exam venue. As soon as Lu Xing stepped out of the car, various voices surrounded him. Dear, don't be nervous. Aim to perform beyond your usual and get into a key martial university. It seemed like a long time since Lu Xing had returned to normal life. A few months ago, these voices would have accompanied him too. Then, Lu's dad said nostalgically, I can't believe so many years have passed. I also took the martial arts exam here, but unfortunately, my talents in nutrition were insufficient, and I was quickly eliminated. But son, you are 100 times stronger than your dad. I won't say much, just give it your all. His dad's indulgence brought tears to Lu Xing's eyes. Inside the venue, everyone was neatly lined up in familiar order for entry. Area A was for testing vital energy and blood values, and Area B was for testing combat strength. The instructor noticed something unusual with the queue in the back. "What's the matter with you? Line up quickly. The queues in front and back are squeezed together. Why leave such a big gap in the middle?" A chubby student trembled. "Instructor, it's not that we don't want to move forward, but I get inexplicably nervous and tremble when I get near him." The instructor angrily stepped forward. "What nonsense, that's a bad habit." But when he came within half a meter of Lu Sheng, he felt an inexplicable pressure. His experienced self certainly knew this was the strength of an aura. When a martial artist's vital energy and blood value is concentrated to a certain level, it naturally exudes an aura, and ordinary people feel like they are approaching a fierce beast, and the body's protective mechanism instinctively wants to flee this danger. What kind of monster is this student? Well, there's no helping it. This student, please go into the room to test your vital energy and blood value alone, and the others will follow behind you. Lu Sheng shook his head helplessly. "It seems I can only truly relax when I'm with my family." Just then, everyone was surprised to look back as a student shouted injustice. "I only drank the special soup my dad made this morning. He said it would help with the exam. I didn't cheat. I refuse to accept this." The instructor said sternly, "I warned you before. You must disclose immediately if you have eaten anything inappropriate in the last few days. There's no choice. Your eligibility for the unified exam is revoked for the next 3 years. These examinees do not know how to maintain their integrity. Though it's only 3 years, no martial arts school will want to admit a student who has cheated. Next, Lu Sheng, it's your turn." As Lu Sheng slowly walked past the two instructors, they were momentarily stunned by his powerful aura. "How is his aura so strong? We are both level 5 instructors, yet we subconsciously stepped back." Then, glasses guy picked up a syringe. "Are you ready? We'll test your vital energy and blood values first." However, Lu Sheng responded, "You need to change the blood drawing needle. This one won't pierce my skin. I have completed my body tempering." Hearing this, the two instructors' mouths gaped open, and then they ordered someone to bring a batch of high-grade martial artist blood drawing needles. Seeing this, Lu Sheng grabbed the needles. "It's too time-consuming to do them one by one. Let's do them all together." He then inserted the syringe into his palm, but surprisingly, the bunch of needles burst open. The bewildered instructors had no choice but to consult their superiors, and then arranged for Lu Sheng to go test his combat power first, as they had never encountered such a situation in their careers. Meanwhile, inside the venue, a competitor with yellow hair and a green aura gathered his strongest strike ever and launched it at the dummy, aiming for a spot at Eastern Peace Martial University. At that moment, head instructor looked puzzled at the two people walking over. "Hey, old John, what's the situation? This student's vital energy and blood values haven't been recorded yet. Why did you bring him here?" Glasses secretly informed Hat about the previous test and suggested whether Hat's side should switch to more advanced machinery to avoid embarrassment. "We can't afford to lose face here." Confidently, Hat gestured with his hands. "Don't worry, this machine's testing limit is 990,000. It won't be a problem even for level 6 martial artists." "Don't tell me that kid is a grandmaster." Haha. Then, Uncle confidently waved Lu Sheng over to test, but the next moment, he was startled by the sight before him. In his over 40 years of experience, it was his first time seeing a student with such a terrifying aura, like a beast on the battlefield. Seeing this, Lu Sheng smiled at the examiner. "Hello, examiner, contestant number 000565 from White River City, Lu Sheng." The examiner looked deflated like a wilted balloon. "Okay, please come to the machine." Lu Sheng stood quietly in front of the machine for 2 minutes. Just as the examiner was about to ask if he was ready, he saw a scene resembling a sea of fire before him, which was both terrifying and suffocating. Lu Sheng slowly activated the divine illumination of the Underworld King scripture and the vital energy and blood amplification, releasing a powerful golden aura that surged outwards. At this, the two instructors were stunned. "Old John, are you sure this is a student here for the unified exam?" Lu Sheng continued with his eyes closed, flames dancing around his body, first focusing on concentrating his power, pinpointing the explosion, and discerning weaknesses. The next moment, his eyes suddenly opened, activating the first form of the complete martial path, 20 times stellar force. This was the first time Lu Sheng integrated all his states, and he was eager to know his current strength. With a fierce punch from Lu Sheng, a blinding Super Saiyan-like aura dazzled everyone around. In a resting room elsewhere, Forest Sea City's Martial Association President Su Yaodong was leisurely playing chess with the White River City Education Director. To prevent cheating, all Martial Association presidents are exchanged among different exam sites to take overall charge. Just as the old man was smiling, a woman burst in, hurriedly reporting, "A student's blood collection failed. The needles broke, and the examiner has requested higher-grade needles." "Aren't advanced blood-drawing needles provided at every site?" But the woman's next words made the president's chess piece break in his hand. The broken ones were the advanced needles. The advanced needles were broken as he achieved great mastery in body tempering. The president then quickly stood up and ordered the woman to go to the control room for special-grade needles and to bring the student's resume. Looking at the stack of documents, President Su Xiaodong was so shocked his hair turned white. In contrast, the education director of White River appeared calm and composed. "Congratulations, Director Liu, for having such a promising youth." Director Liu casually replied, "It's just luck, all thanks to President Su's guidance." Seeing this, President Su was puzzled. "Old Liu, you don't seem surprised at all." "How can I not be surprised? I'm shocked to my core. It's just that I had a bit of an inkling." President Su, do you still know about the annual Rising General Star selection in the Eastern Military Region? This Lu Xing is this year's Rising General Star. Not only that, he's also a well-known martial arts star in our White River City. President Su exclaimed, "My goodness, this strength isn't just for aiming at the provincial martial arts scholar. It's practically guaranteed for the top scholar throne aiming at the ascending dragon. Let's go. We must hurry to the venue to see him." However, just as they were about to leave, the entire building began to shake violently. What's happening? They could feel the source of the disturbance was nearby, in the direction of the combat strength testing venue. In the testing area, 10 suns slowly rose around Lu Xing, and the dummy before him had already shattered and flown out of the wall. The two witnessing instructors turned pale with fear. This was a machine capable of testing the combat strength of peak level 6 martial artists, and yet it was destroyed by a single punch from him. Could his combat strength exceed 990,000? Just then, the two old men arrived in a panic. "Hey, what happened here?" The next moment, Hat Uncle rushed toward President Su, crying out, "President, you finally arrived. He's a grandmaster." The president immediately arranged for a grandmaster level strength testing instrument to be brought in. The power of that punch was earth-shattering. This incident is sure to become a remarkable tale. Truly a young hero. Seeing Lu Xing's silent demeanor, Director Liu approached and said, "Don't worry about it, Lu Xing. No one blames you for breaking the machine." Just being near Lu Xing, Director Liu could feel the intensely refined aura. If one hadn't seen it with their own eyes, who could believe this was an 18-year-old martial artist? "Come, Lu Xing, let me take a couple of samples." President Su held a golden needle. Indeed, a special grade needle was necessary. As the needle went in, his vital blood appeared spherical, dense, and not dispersing, thick like mercury. "This is the blood of a grandmaster." President Su noted it was still a bit off. He had seen the blood of a true grandmaster, which was even thicker and more cohesive, but this was still quite astonishing. As he inserted the syringe into the machine, the next moment it displayed a vital energy and blood value of 1,233, ranking at level 6. Director Liu was stunned. A vital energy and blood value over 1,200 and a level 6 martial artist were unheard of in the entire history of the unified exams in White River City. No, even in the entire Eastern Peace Province. President Su was ecstatic. "Well done, Student Liu. You've set a new provincial record for the highest vital energy and blood value." But Lu Xing merely responded nonchalantly, which left Glasses Guy dumbfounded. "He calls that okay? Damn, that's too cool. I can't take it." The next moment, Glasses Guy announced that the strength tester was ready to begin. "Come on, Student Liu, strike while the iron is hot." This Grandmaster level combat strength instrument is almost brand new, as there are very few in White River City who can use it, and today a young man gets to use it. Lu Xing stood silently before the machine, then his fist gathered strength, a golden aura emerged again, and techniques like 20 times stellar force and 10 suns in the sky blasted towards the machine, causing an instant explosion that echoed through the sky. Grandmaster will. This is definitely the will of a grandmaster. The thing I've been pursuing for many years now manifests in an 18-year-old. As Lu Xing slowly withdrew his right hand, the combat strength displayed was 1,260,000, almost reaching Grandmaster level. Although slightly short, it was certainly worthy of the name near Grandmaster. That's odd. If Lu Xing possesses the power of a Grandmaster, why didn't he use fierce energy just now? Director Liu also asked, puzzled. "Yes, Lu Xing, where's your fierce energy? Because I'm not yet level 5, so fierce energy is not yet developed." "What?" The two were baffled. "Wow, just at level 4 and already able to display Grandmaster level combat strength. Old Liu, congratulations. Your White River City is about to produce a great Grandmaster. This is like a real dragon appearing in the world." At this moment, Director Liu was as excited as a little kid. "A real dragon, a real dragon. Haha, a proud dragon from White River City is coming. Quick, inform President Su in the Eastern Military Region." The next moment, Lu Xing slowly walked out of the examination venue. "Dad, I'm out." Lu's dad, a bit worried, asked, "Little Xing, how did the exam go? Did you manage to show all your strength?" Lu Xing replied casually, "It was okay, slightly better than expected." His sister excitedly shouted, "Does that mean, big brother, you could top the charts? Come on, let's take a photo to commemorate this." The next moment, Lu Xing eagerly went to check his biography in his dreams. After entering the Eastern Military Region and securing the national exam top scholar, Lu Xing smoothly entered 7th Saints Martial University, and various Grandmaster techniques were upgraded. The Fire Seed resource database also unlocked level 4 access, and more importantly, Lu Xing now had 5 wives. All were familiar sisters, and in his biography, Lu Xing finally reached the status of a level 8 Great Grandmaster. Level 4 access granted him the continuation of the 3 Great Level 11 techniques techniques, the advanced chapter of the natural breathing method, the complete set of the stellar body refinement technique, and the second stage of the immortal golden body. The stellar body refinement technique also included a special technique which was to consolidate all abilities like the power of the sun. Now that Lu Xing's Grandmaster will had formed, as long as he methodically increased his vital energy and blood values, he could smoothly aspire to Grandmaster status. But the Grandmaster path of Shishingning, who created the technique 10 Suns in the Sky and the so-called Eastern Sinister Sun, level 11 powerhouse Wang Yi's Grandmaster path, their levels are completely different. But that's their path, not mine. The Grandmaster path I aim for is based on surpassing Wang Yi, starting with the goal of reaching level 12, or even higher. Only then can I accomplish what even Wang Yi could not. With the 3 great level 11 techniques as my cornerstone, and the entire splendid 10,000-year martial arts civilization paving my way, it's not a fantasy, nor is it overambitious, because that is my future. Just now, on the 5th day after the end of the unified exams, Lu's dad hung many lanterns at the front door. The neighbor next door said disdainfully, hanging lanterns, ever since they moved in, nothing good has happened. The property prices here are just too cheap. Any Tom, Dick, or Harry with a bit of money can buy in. Look at them, they look so poor. When they first moved in, they made such a racket. This morning, I even bumped into that man at the door, struggling with a bunch of oranges at the intersection for ages. I don't even know if the juice splashed on my car. It was disgusting. Hey, we're all neighbors. Don't speak so harshly. What's the matter? You're my husband, yet you're speaking up for them. At that moment, a sharp horn sounded. Damn it, who's pressing the horn like crazy at the door so early in the morning? It must be those damn poor ghosts getting back at me. It's just a few squashed oranges, for God's sake. But the well-traveled man broke out in a cold sweat because he saw that the license plate at the door belonged to the provincial governor's car. The provincial governor himself came, and just now 9 honks sounded at the door to celebrate Ascending Dragon. Could it be that this year's top martial scholar is from White River City, or even from our community? Wow, this really is striking gold. We should really cozy up to them. Lu's dad was stunned and asked, Ching, why is there a scary convoy of cars stopped at our doorstep? Just then, an old man slowly got out of a car. Pardon my intrusion, is this the residence of Ascending Dragon top martial scholar, Lu Sheng? The visitor was none other than the provincial governor of Eastern Peace Province and Grandmaster of Martial Arts, Xia Pingnian. Upon hearing this, Lu's dad was shocked. What? Ascending Dragon top martial scholar? Little Sheng is the Ascending Dragon top martial scholar? Hearing that the Ascending Dragon top martial scholar was the son of those country bumpkins, the neighbor woman was petrified, fear overwhelming her. It's over, it's over. Are they going to throw me into the sea to feed the fish? On the other side, Lu Sheng had just woken up from his dream. Since obtaining the continuation techniques of the immortal golden body's second stage, his once stagnant physique had begun to strengthen again. At this moment, his phone was continuously buzzing with messages, all from his sister. Has the provincial governor come to our house? The next moment, Lu Sheng's purple aura covered the surroundings, then suddenly spread out. This aura feels like President Su. To the left, there's also someone with a vital energy and blood strength similar to a level 6 near Grandmaster. And in the middle, this person's vital energy and blood is like a furnace, with level 6 powerhouses around him looking like mere charcoal and ashes beside a blazing flame. This must be a Grandmaster. Then, Lu Sheng slowly walked downstairs. Sorry to have kept everyone waiting. This young man, despite his age, contained such a powerful force, like a sunrise breaking through the dawn. After introductions and pleasantries, Provincial Governor Xia Pingnian came forward to shake Lu Sheng's hand. I've finally met you, Student Lu. However, the main purpose of Governor Xia's visit was to congratulate Lu Sheng on the good news of becoming the Ascending Dragon top martial scholar. Although the scores hadn't been fully tallied yet, Lu Sheng's status as the top scholar was all but confirmed. With the addition of academic courses and various extra points, Lu Sheng might even set a new record for the national exams of Dragon Nation. Therefore, we rushed over as soon as we received the news. Here's a small token of our appreciation, 50 million in the card on the left, and on the right, a 400+ square meter residence in the center of Eastern Peace Province. Although it's not as big as Student Lu's current home, it's surrounded by many professional martial association facilities, making it suitable for martial artists to live and train. Now that Student Lu has the strength of a level 6 martial artist, have you thought about which martial university in Dragon Nation you'd like to attend? Hearing about her brother's level 6 strength, Qinghe was utterly shocked. Lu Sheng clearly expressed his desire to attend Capital Martial University. Although this was an expected outcome for the provincial governor, he then passed over a thick envelope. This contains invitations from the 7 Saint Martial Universities, entrusted to me to deliver to you. I shouldn't show favoritism, so you pick. His sister was bewildered. All the sacred halls of martial arts that every martial arts student in Dragon Nation dreams of, and her brother could freely choose from one of the 7. Lu Sheng also found it difficult to choose, so why not take the most primitive approach? He shuffled the letters and then drew one at random to see with which martial university fate would align him. Then it's this one, the 7th Saints Martial University. Xia Pingnian Man was shocked. He had thought that Lu Sheng would carefully consider his options, but his decision-making method was quite unique. All 7 martial universities were built on the legacy of martial arts. He couldn't say much more. Although the 7th Saints Martial University might have a shallower history, its faculty was by no means inferior. Subsequently, the provincial governor handed a business card to Lu Sheng. Since the credit tasks at the Saint Martial University are exceptionally dangerous, you'll need a top-quality cold weapon. As a talented individual from our province, we naturally wouldn't want you to lose face. Choose anything below level 6 as a gift for student Lu Sheng, an ascending dragon gift. After explaining everything, Xia Pingnan and others exchanged pleasantries and said their goodbyes. Eastern Peace Province, being somewhat behind other provinces, was thrilled to suddenly have an ascending dragon top scholar. How could they not be excited? It was only after seeing the group off that Lu's dad could no longer contain his excitement, quickly asking Lu's mom to buy groceries to celebrate. Meanwhile, on the other side, a person was repeatedly reviewing Lu Sheng's candidate information, murmuring, "This is really interesting." Another man commented, "Wow, it's rare to find something that piques your interest. This year might be different." These two were the strongest martial sages in Dragon Nation. In the following days, Lu Sheng bid farewell to several close friends and then boarded a plane to capital, escorted by his family. The reason the 7 Saint Martial Universities are esteemed is that each has its own complete martial sage lineage and a unique martial sage tower. The 7th Saints Martial University, which Lu Sheng chose, was established 57 years ago by Tan Zhongyu, one of the 3 existing martial sages in Dragon Nation. Tan Zhongyu became a martial sage just over 60 years ago and is now only in his early hundreds. It is said that martial sages can easily live over 300 years, no longer belonging to the ordinary human category, akin to the immortals in myths. In the entire history of Dragon Nation, a total of 9 martial sages have emerged. Unfortunately, over 100 years ago, many martial sage-level warriors died on battlefields fighting exotic beasts, and of course, some died in conflicts between nations. Various tactics were exchanged, resulting in the loss of several martial sages on both sides, and the martial arts elites of the human race perished due to internal strife. During this period, Dragon Nation and the Lion Country fought over the title of the world's strongest martial arts sovereign, inevitably leading to mutual losses. However, the martial sage tower established by Dragon Nation is a perfection replica based on the states of each martial sage at different times, representing the highest level of integration between Dragon Nation's martial arts and technology. Those who enter the tower are challenged according to the difficulty level, and reaching certain layers might grant an audience with a martial sage, and possibly even apprenticeship under one. Although Lu Sheng was indifferent to becoming a martial sage disciple, considering he already had access to the legacies of many level 10 and level 11 powerhouses, those alone were more than he could master, let alone a mere level 9 martial sage lineage. If it weren't for the national mandate on cultivating martial arts talents, he would have preferred to directly report to Yufei. However, it didn't matter. Once there, he planned to take on more credit tasks, perhaps allowing him to graduate from Saint Martial University in less than 6 months. Just then, his sister's friend, Yang Yuan, came up to talk. "What a coincidence. Are you also heading to capital?" It turned out that under his good sister's urging, Yang Yuan deliberately booked the same flight as Lu Sheng. Yang Yuan even gave up the opportunity to attend Eastern Peace Martial University for Lu Sheng, a fact she still dared not tell her family. Lu Sheng was caught off guard by this encounter, not expecting to see an acquaintance on the plane. 2 hours later, the plane slowly descended over capital. As expected of the capital province, its vibrancy could be described as a prosperous era, a gathering place for talents from around the world. Perhaps even the grand and impressive base 1359 in his dreams was like this before its fall. Afterwards, Lu Sheng escorted Yang Yuan to Capital River University. Then he headed to the 7th Saints Martial University to report. This scene made the already shy Yang Yuan blush even more, as it made her feel like they were a couple of university students reporting to school together. If only I could be at the same school as Lu Sheng. Look, another freshman girl is coming to report. Damn, she's a stunner. Let's go meet her first. Yellow Hair's eyes practically shot lasers. This girl is just my type. None of you try to compete with me. Freshman, did you just arrive to report at Capital River University? Here, let me help you with your luggage. The next moment, Lu Sheng casually tossed up the luggage. Thank you so much. Yellow Hair looked a bit dejected. Wait, aren't you also a freshman at Capital River University? Since Lu Sheng had learned how to conceal his overflowing vital energy and blood, ordinary martial artists couldn't feel the menacing aura about him. However, when they heard that Lu Sheng was just there to drop off the girl, they immediately showed sly grins, as being close to the river gives one a first chance at the moon. Although our university is only second tier, every facility is set up like those at a first-tier martial university. We have all kinds of training rooms available. It's close to Martial Artist Street and even offers 3 opportunities per month to enter the Martial Sage Tower. Lu Sheng had thought that only students from Saint Martial Universities had the chance to enter the Martial Sage Tower. Tower, but according to Ah-chan, even independent martial artists could enter the Martial Sage Tower by applying through the Martial Association, though the process is more cumbersome. In contrast, students from St. Martial universities have VIP-like access, allowing them to enter anytime without limitations or queuing. The next moment, Yellow Hair leaned in and advised Yang Yuan, telling her that it didn't matter who she provoked in the entire East District University town, as their school had plenty of people to back her up, and the worst-case scenario would just involve a fight. However, there was one school she must never provoke, and that was the 7th Saints Martial University, because everyone there is crazy. From the first year, they start with bloodshed, and fights could leave you disabled or even dead, not to mention that their strength is at a monstrous level. Do you understand, Junior? Afterward, Lu Xing prepared to say goodbye and leave, telling Yang Yuan to call him directly if she needed anything. Watching the girl's reluctant expression, Ah-chan commented that there was no chance this time. Yellow Hair, however, believed that as long as he kept at it, the girl would eventually open her heart to him. Junior, which university is your friend from? He seems a bit too arrogant. Yang Yuan coldly spat out 4 words: the 7th Saints Martial University. Hearing this, both men's mouths fell open. Right, he's from White River City. His name is Lu Sheng. What? Lu Sheng? This name had become infamous in the area. Lu Sheng had finally arrived at the 7th Saints Martial University as he had wished. Just standing at the entrance and looking at the distant Martial Sage Tower, he could feel a majestic aura rushing towards him. It seemed his journey here was well worth it. Lu Sheng then went straight with his letter of acceptance to the registration desk for new students. Seeing a new face, and a handsome one at that, a senior sister quickly grabbed the notification letter, but the next moment she was a bit shocked. Is this year's Ascending Dragon top martial scholar? Wow, that's really rare. Our school has never recruited an Ascending Dragon top martial scholar since its establishment. Beside them, Buzzcut frowned slightly, looking like he was up for causing some trouble. Following a loud noise behind him, Buzzcut instantly flashed in front of Lu Sheng. Are you that Lu Sheng? Hearing this, Lu Sheng responded with a smile, but halfway through his sentence, Buzzcut suddenly erupted in anger, his aura skyrocketing, and then he swung a knife cut towards Lu Sheng. However, Lu Sheng remained steadfast, not moving from his spot, because he could sense that although the strike was strong, it lacked killing intent. Buzzcut did not expect that his strongest attack would leave his opponent completely unmoved, a significant insult to him. The next moment, Buzzcut pointed with his knife in the opposite direction, telling Lu Sheng to follow the signs to find the student dormitories. Lu Sheng calmly turned around. Okay, thank you. Seeing such a composed demeanor, the senior sister was visibly impressed, even considering pulling him into their squad. Buzzcut asked if they knew about Lu Sheng's results, but Glass's girl mentioned that Lu Sheng's information was all sealed now. However, she heard from others that his vital energy and blood value had already broken through level 6, and he had shattered many records, likely making him the strongest ascending dragon in history. Hearing this, Buzzcut smirked. Sounds like there's going to be a good show to watch later. Meanwhile, just as Lu Sheng reached a small path, he was stopped by a voice from behind. Hey, classmate, glad to see someone at last. This school is so big. Are you also here to report on the first day? My name is Lin Ziyi. I'm a freshman too. Since the chubby guy was naturally bad with directions and had wandered around without finding the dorm, he asked Lu Sheng to lead the way. 5 minutes later, the two arrived at the marked dormitory, but there was a crowd gathered at the bottom of the building. The next moment, a student flew out from an upper floor and crashed heavily into the crowd below. Then a show-off stepped out from the doorway, slowly saying, "Your name is Su Xiaoming, right? This year's martial arts scholar from Southern River Province. Not bad. You're the first newbie who could take 2 of my strikes. Push a bit harder and you'll be able to move in." Seeing this, Blue Hair, who was watching the spectacle, asked, "What do you think? Huadong, do you stand a chance?" Huadong, ranked 5th nationally, shook his head. "I've just entered level 5, but that guy in front seems to have reached the minor completion of fierce energy at the peak of level 5. I probably can't withstand even 3 of his moves. If my elemental control could break through to level 3, maybe I'd stand a chance." "What? Even you can't do it? How about we wear him down with a series of challenges to pave the way for you? As long as we exhaust his stamina, there's definitely a chance." However, Huadong stated that it wasn't very realistic. A peak level 5 martial artist's vital energy and blood value is nearly 1,000. Moreover, he could feel that Yellow Hair, who was drinking milk tea on the side, was even more dangerous, likely already stepping into the rank of a level 6 near Grandmaster. This is just blatant bullying. Even the typical martial association president is only level 6. It seems you don't yet realize where you've arrived. The move-in rules are simple. Withstand 3 of my moves to get in, or 5 moves with your luggage. I know you all consider yourselves martial arts prodigies, the pride of the heavens, the best among your peers, but here, that once proud halo of glory is worthless. Everything you want must be earned with your own hands, with strength. If you don't have the power, you'll end up with nothing, just an ordinary person, or even just a dog, a pitiful wretch. This is the first lesson I, as an old student of the 7th Saints Martial University and your respected senior, am giving you." Seeing someone so arrogantly lecturing without a script, Lu Sheng's eyes slightly furrowed, clearly incompetent, yet still fond of showing off, teaching the laws of the jungle. At that moment, Lu Xing noticed little Fatty trembling beside him, thinking he was scared, but the next moment little Fatty shouted joyfully to the sky, "Fantastic, I just love crushing these self-important seniors underfoot," enjoying the classic moment when they look up in shock and fear. It turns out the chubby guy was the top martial scholar from the Western Stream Province's unified exams and ranked 17th nationally this year. Before he finished speaking, Fatty took a leap forward. "Watch how Grandpa teaches you a lesson." Afterwards, Fatty flew back heavily to the ground, admitting he had been careless. Only after exchanging blows did he feel the emergence of Yellow Hair's fierce energy, realizing he was not yet a match. Lu Xing patted Fatty on the shoulder in consolation, then slowly walked forward. "These noisy mosquitoes, just swat them away." Lu Xing immediately shouted, "Come on, make your move." Yellow Hair, the senior, was stunned by this sudden arrogance and then mocked. "What, you plan to take my 3 strikes just like that?" It was then that Lu Xing realized he should put down his backpack. After all, it was proper to show some respect to the opponent. "Now, are we good?" The nearby students were frightened by Lu Xing's words. "He's insane. The opponent is a martial artist with fierce energy. What if he angers him? This young guy might end up with broken limbs." True to their fears, Yellow Hair was infuriated by Lu Xing's words. "Brat, I'll let you know what it feels like to lose sensation in your limbs." Instantly, Yellow Hair was surrounded by flaming energy, and then he launched a powerful, massive fireball technique towards Lu Xing. However, just when the fireball was about 1 centimeter from Lu Xing, he suddenly disappeared from his spot. In the next moment, he appeared instantly in front of Yellow Hair. He then grabbed Yellow Hair by the neck and smashed him to the ground. The figure whom the students thought was an unbeatable strongman didn't last even a second in the hands of this young man. Fatty's face showed disbelief, considering that Yellow Hair was known for his fierce energy. Could it really be crushed with a bare hand? A long-haired Yellow Hair watching the spectacle looked on calmly at Lu Xing. In reality, the pearl milk tea in his hand had already been crushed into bits. As he passed by, Lu Xing spoke, "What's up, milk tea bro? Can I go now?" Seeing that milk tea bro remained silent, Lu Xing walked on without further notice. It turned out that the room numbers inside were assigned directly according to the rankings from the unified exams, so Lu Xing also casually took Fatty's room card. Fatty was ecstatic and quickly expressed his thanks to Lu Xing. This made the other new students quite envious. "Bro, they just walked in like that, and even the show-off drinking milk tea didn't make a move. Could it be he feels he's no match either?" The next moment, milk tea bro stealthily took out his phone and informed the person on the other end to be cautious, as this year there seemed to be a formidable student who had arrived. After entering the main gate, it took the two of them 7 minutes to reach the actual dormitory area, which was much larger than Lu Xing had imagined. More importantly, he found himself occupying an entire building alone, and the house was not smaller than the one he had at home. Everything was free for Lu Xing. Seeing Lu Xing heading straight inside, Fatty was shocked and exclaimed, "Brother, that building is the Ascending Dragon top martial scholar's house. Could it be? Bro, are you Lu Xing?" After receiving confirmation from Lu Xing, Fatty was all praises and admiration. He had thought about Lu Xing's identity before, but had initially hesitated to consider it, because his reason for choosing the 7th Saints Martial University was to avoid bumping into several other phenomenal students, as normally they would choose one of the top martial universities. Lu Xing, puzzled, asked, "What's the matter? Is the 7th Saints Martial University considered weak?" Fatty wasn't sure either. He had just heard from family members that historically, Ascending Dragon top martial scholars would choose one of the top few martial universities. He also checked that each year at the Martial Arts Conference, the 7th Saints Martial University often ranked at the bottom. However, Lu Xing stated that regardless of whether the school was weak, the martial heritage passed down by the martial sage was enough for students to practice. Then Lu Xing returned to his room, which appeared to be meticulously decorated with high-quality furnishings. Even the sofa was made from exotic beast leather. The next moment, Lu Xing noticed a remote on the table. Turning it on, he saw it was displaying recent significant events at the school, with the top story being Qinishuan vs. Xiaolan, 2 seniors contesting for the top spot on the 7th Saints Martial University's combat strength leaderboard. How interesting. I didn't expect this school to have so much going on. It seemed these 2 were currently the strongest in the school. Lu Xing then decided to watch it, but just 15 seconds into the video, a prompt appeared indicating the end of the preview and that he needed to pay points to continue watching. Typical, video sites are all the same. Then Lu Xing took out a package of potions from his bag, the 30 vials of golden dragon saliva he had concocted before coming, which should be enough for his cultivation for now. But just then, someone is kicking the door violently. Lu Xing was furious. "Who is it?" A wild man declared it was him. "You're that Lu," but he was cut off mid-sentence as Lu Xing kicked him, sending the wild man flying through the building. Lu Xing shouted furiously, "Scram! Come back and find me after you learn how to knock on the door politely." Red Hair clutched his chest. He couldn't understand how Lu Xing was so strong. Wasn't he just a freshman? Then Lu Xing asked what the purpose was of the 2 lackeys coming over. If it was just to start trouble, they were in for another beating. Unexpectedly, the 2 lackeys quickly changed their tune, stating they were only there to deliver a back-to-school gift pack to Lu Sheng. This was Lu Sheng's student ID card, which would allow him to use all the facilities at the 7th Saints Martial University, and also entitled him to 1 bottle of level 4 beast blood each month. However, seeing Red Hair so heavily wounded on the ground, Lu Sheng was not inclined to believe this was a simple act of kindness. The next moment, Lu Sheng exploded with murderous fury. "What's it gonna be? Since you've delivered the stuff, why aren't you leaving? Waiting for me to give you a massage?" The fear nearly made them wet themselves. They had some reputation in the school, but it looked like today would become a dark shadow in their lives. Seeing their boss beaten up so badly, the underlings were contemplating whether to seek revenge. Red Hair exclaimed, "Seek what revenge? Let's not provoke this monster for now. The last time I was on a mission fighting a level 6 exotic beast, I wasn't injured this badly." But he wasn't about to let it go just yet. As the few were still hesitating, a deathly aura seeped through the door crack. "Why hasn't Senior left yet? Shall I escort you back personally?" The calm words terrified the trio, causing them to tense up and quickly explain that they had accidentally damaged the door and would send someone to fix it immediately. Back in his room, Lu Sheng turned on the television again. Now with his campus card, he was eager to see just how powerful these 2 top students of the academy really were. He was surprised upon watching the flashy moves, the powerful actions, and the exquisite combat skills and tactics. All were marks of a strong warrior. Both individuals were very strong, and it seemed he had underestimated the school initially. Facing such strong opponents, I might need to use 60%. No, maybe just 50% of my power to defeat them. But it's hard to say. Now that I've reached minor completion of fierce energy, my combat power has greatly increased since the unified exams. 50% of my power should be over 1,000,000. Both seniors likely hadn't reached Grandmaster level yet, but they could exert Grandmaster level strength. It seems that St. Martial University truly is a place of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. And this is just the 7th Saints Martial University. There's also the 7 Saints ranking. The next moment, a familiar video surged to the top of the trending searches. Strongest freshman in the history of the 7th Saints Martial University beats a senior within the top 300 on his first day. Lu Sheng didn't expect that in such a short time. Someone had recorded it, and it had even gone viral, turning into various memes. It looks like that person won't be able to raise his head in the campus for a long time. After saying this, Lu Sheng's stomach began to rumble. He had heard that the St. Martial University cafeteria was top-notch, so it was the perfect time to invite Fatty to experience it. The next moment, Fatty came over with a bit of meat, feeling slightly embarrassed. "Brother Shen, don't laugh at me. I just love this stuff. Otherwise, I wouldn't be this size even though I practice martial arts." But then he was stunned by Lu Sheng gobbling down 10 burgers at once. Fatty sat down, feeling a bit sheepish. "Brother Shen is still Brother Shen. Can't beat you in a fight, and now I can't even keep up with eating." The 2 girls next door were thrilled to see the celebrity. "I didn't expect him to be even more handsome in person. Don't be fooled by his gentle appearance. He's actually quite rough when he moves, but I kind of like that." Obviously, being adored by the girls, he was inevitably going to become the public enemy of the boys. Those who were unconvinced wanted to test the strength of this ascending dragon top martial scholar. Sure enough, a hand slammed down on Lu Sheng's dining table. Although the intentions of the 4 people who arrived were unclear, suddenly interrupting Lu Sheng's meal was a big no-no. The leader, with a confident expression, extended his hand, indicating that he was the top student from Surplus Confluence Province, ranked 17th in the national exams. Lu Sheng replied indifferently, "What, did you come here specifically to report your exam results to me?" Hearing this, a bald lackey who wanted to start a fight was stopped by his boss. What followed was an attempt to enlighten Lu Sheng, trying to make him see reality. Although Lu Sheng was powerful, he might not be a match for them, but at St. Martial University, unlike high school, social interactions and understanding human relationships are crucial. Otherwise, even a fierce tiger can be torn apart by a pack of wolves. However, the 2 minutes of attempted brainwashing had no effect on Lu Sheng, and instead, it angered him. "If you know you are not my match, why provoke me? Are you stubborn or just not very smart?" Wu Fan, enraged by this, threw a punch at Lu Sheng. "I'll show you arrogance. I'm not someone you can bully just like that." But the next moment, Wu Fan felt as if a colossal hand from the heavens enveloped him, making him feel like a mere mosquito in its presence. Before he could react, Lu Sheng had grabbed his handsome face. This scene felt eerily familiar to him, as if he had seen it somewhere before. The next instant, an explosion sounded from the ground as Wu Fan's head smashed into the solid floor, creating a huge, deep pit. The surrounding students, not expecting to witness this live meme-worthy moment, quickly took out their phones to record. Unsurprisingly, it looked like Lu Sheng was going to be trending again. The 2 things Lu Sheng hated most in life were being forcefully disturbed during his training and having flies buzzing around while he was eating. This also served as a warning to the other students present. If anyone was thinking of challenging him, they should avoid these 2 times, or the next time he might not be so amiable. The immense pressure stunned the other 2 lackeys. By this point, Fatty was utterly in awe of Lu Sheng. Unbeknownst to them, Lu Sheng was like a lion being stalked by countless hungry wolves, but the path of of martial arts is inherently one of competition, especially here at the 7th Saints Martial University, home to the nation's top martial arts talents. This place never lacked hard-headed kids or annoying flies, and the main reason they behaved this way was that they were not afraid enough. If they were facing a grandmaster, would they still act the same? Obviously not. So, what Lu Xing needed to do now was to instill enough fear in them to make these annoying flies disappear voluntarily. He needed to find an opportunity to crush their courage and soften their bones, to command their respect as if he were a god, and their fear as if he were a ghost. Just then, a voice calling Lu Xing arose from behind, and Lu Xing could clearly feel that the person approaching was very strong. The man then said, "I am Vice Principal Zhao Kang, and I have come to ask you to be the representative speaker for the new students tomorrow." Representative speech? Lu Xing immediately agreed, stating that he would prepare his speech well. After all, this was an opportunity to make an impression on all the new students at once, and he needed to perform well. The next day in the auditorium, the freshman opening ceremony took place as scheduled. When Lu Xing entered, nearly everyone turned to look at him. "Hey, did you hear? The guy who almost beat Wu Fan to death yesterday, that's him. I heard Lu Xing is going to speak on behalf of the new students today." Su Jianfei and his group seemed to be planning something. They said they want to take down Lu Xing. However, Dong's intuition told him that Lu Xing was not so easily toppled. Then, as with all schools, the leaders gave lengthy and pointless speeches on stage, causing many students to fall asleep. It wasn't until the leaders had finished speaking that the principal slowly introduced the next item. "Please welcome the new student representative, Ascending Dragon Top Martial Scholar Lu Xing, to give his speech." The principal looked at the Ascending Dragon Top Martial Scholar with a smile, surprised that Lu Xing had chosen their 7th Saints University. However, just as Lu Xing was about to speak, Su Jianfei led a disturbance from below, and a wave of boos filled the air. Lu Xing's gaze turned icy as he looked at the audience. After the principal loudly called for silence, he asked Lu Xing if he was ready. Lu Xing confidently responded that there was no problem. He had prepared all day. The principal was shocked. He hadn't expected Lu Xing to take such a small task so seriously. Lu Xing stood at the podium, momentarily stunned, then his lips curled into a smile. Su Jianfei instructed his underlings beside him, "No matter what Lu Xing tries to say later, we just need to keep jeering from below. Make him lose face. Hello everyone, I am Lu Xing. I know many of you don't accept me, so today I'm giving you a chance." When they heard chance, everyone was confused. Chance? What chance? Right now, immediately, challenge me. I allow all of you to come at me together. Come on, don't make me wait too long, flies. Hearing this, the vice principal was speechless. Is this the speech you prepared all day? Just 4 sentences, and it ends in a fight? Fatty was also trembling with fear due to Lu Xing's arrogant words. Seeing that the crowd was still hesitant, Lu Xing decided to provoke them further. "What's the matter? I'm not targeting anyone specifically. I mean all of you present are trash." These words unleashed the pent-up feelings of all the new students. Lu Xing's words were too provocative. "Don't hold me back. I'm going to smack this punk to death." In an instant, a fighting spirit erupted from the audience. At this moment, Su Jianfei's entire body seemed to turn to steel. "Arrogant kid, do you really think you're invincible?" The school beauty also stood up. "Good. I also want to see for myself the strength of this Ascending Dragon Top Martial Scholar." Seeing the students stand up one by one, Dong also rose to his feet. Although his instincts told him this was unwise, if he remained seated, everyone would think him a coward. In an instant, the collective fervor of the students formed a huge fire dragon. "Please, Ascending Dragon Top Martial Scholar, enlighten us." Seeing the chaos below, the director asked if they should intervene, but the vice principal suggested they wait and see, as he too was curious to see what made Lu Xing so arrogantly confident. Seeing the students unite, Fatty, trembling, made his way to the stage. "Damn it, you think it's fair to gang up on the few? Come on, who's scared?" In reality, Fatty was terrified, knowing full well that even if Brother Xing was strong, he couldn't possibly withstand an attack from so many students at once. But he couldn't let down Brother Xing. At worst, he'd take a beating. How could he possibly be beaten to death? Faced with the intimidating dragon below, Lu Xing spoke slowly. "So, trash can exert a bit of pressure too. Well, I also want to see if any of this trash has the qualifications to be my opponent." The next moment, with a brisk step, Lu Xing instantly appeared in front of Su Jiandong. "You're the first." As soon as the words fell, a heavy punch flew towards Su Jiandong's chest, sending him flying 100 meters. Then someone kicked at Lu Xing, who caught the foot with one hand, truly weak yet stubborn. He then casually threw him hard to the ground. Before Lu Xing could react, a huge fireball appeared from behind, and the man with a headband laughed loudly upon seeing his sneak attack succeed. "Even if you have strong defenses, you can't handle my high-density flames." The next moment, a hand reached out from the flames and pressed down on the man with the headband. Indeed, the fierce energy hasn't covered the whole body. Even the clothes got scorched. Before Lu Xing could react again, an invisible blade separated him from the man with the headband. The attack, swift as a whip, darted around unpredictably, its angle tricky and its edge razor-sharp. The school beauty grinned and said, "Strong in power and defense. Ha, then I'll use speed to slowly carve you up like a dull knife." Just as she was basking in her pride, Lu Xing had already used used the wind breath technique to flash behind her. What? He can keep up with my speed. He then flung the school beauty up against the ceiling. At that moment, standing backstage, White Hair was continuously groaning, clearly possessing a mental power that could go out of control at any moment. The next instant, countless mithril shurikens, like cannonballs, flew towards Lu Sheng. Sorry, fellow student, don't blame me. The shurikens attacked Lu Sheng's back at high speed. Just as White Hair excitedly thought he was about to take down Lu Sheng, a cyan blue psychic force emanated from Lu Sheng's back, slowly enveloping the shurikens. The shurikens obediently spun in the palm of Lu Sheng's hand like well-behaved puppies. Then all the shurikens became Lu Sheng's weapons, attacking back towards their sender. How is that possible? He's a mind weaver too. After witnessing Lu Sheng's formidable power, Wudong ordered everyone to attack together, as there was no chance of winning otherwise. Instantly, a 360-degree attack with no blind spots came at Lu Sheng. After a brief glance, a flash of lightning appeared in his eyes, followed by a massive explosion that sent the encircling students flying. Then a large foot stepped forward slowly, as Lu Sheng stood in front like a war god. As expected, trash will always be trash. I had too high expectations for you. The vice principal was shocked, but the next moment, a sly smile crept across his face, as he eagerly anticipated the scene of students from the other 6 St. Martial universities being thrashed by Lu Sheng. Seeing the one-sided battle unfold, Wudong's endocrine system went haywire. Although he had imagined Lu Sheng was strong, he had not anticipated such dominance. While he was still considering whether to intervene, the fight was already over. Now disheartened, Wudong muttered dreamily, the warriors have failed, and the world will now face a long and dark reign under the Demon King, with humanity barely surviving in narrow cracks. While Wudong was dazed, Lu Sheng walked up to him and snapped him out of it. Hey, what are you spacing out for? Still reciting such cringeworthy anime lines? But you stood up just now, didn't you? Were you leading the jeers? Red Hair, terrified out of his wits, shook his head frantically, claiming he only stood up because of a hemorrhoid flare-up. Look, I'm sitting down now, right? But Lu Sheng thought it over and concluded, with so many already beaten, one more wouldn't matter. He then knocked him out with a karate chop. The remaining lackeys in the venue were deathly silent, terrified that Lu Sheng might come over and slap them next. Then Lu Sheng shouted across the hall, anyone else? The opportunity was given to you, but sadly you couldn't grasp it. Tell these guys when they wake up, next time not to come jumping in front of me. The remaining new students frantically nodded, assuring they would pass the message. After everything had settled down, Lu Sheng slowly turned to the vice principal behind him and declared that his speech for the new students had ended. Far from being angry, the vice principal was actually thrilled, saying good, and then ordered a few students to stay behind to clean up the venue, sending those who needed medical attention to the infirmary, and dismissed the rest. From that moment on, Lu Sheng's formidable strength was fully revealed, dominating the freshman rankings single-handedly against hundreds. Various edited clips of him circulated online, wildly stirring the upperclassmen who were still asleep. Lu Sheng's strength as a level 6 martial artist combined with level 3 mindweaver prowess was soon proclaimed as the emergence of the strongest new star of the 7th Saints Martial University. Lu Sheng's actions were like a stone thrown into a calm pond, creating ripples. After returning to his dormitory, Lu Sheng watched the various edited clips on TV and was speechless at the sensationalist descriptions, which portrayed him as a high-level boss who had mistakenly entered a newbie village. However, he also felt that he was becoming increasingly violent lately, almost accustomed to solving problems with force rather than words. Could it be that his power had advanced too quickly? Or perhaps the new students were just too weak, like mowing the lawn with a lawnmower. While being weak is not a sin, being unaware of one's weakness is a mistake, and being both weak and annoying is an even bigger mistake. Although violence doesn't solve everything, it can solve a lot of problems. Later, Lu Sheng looked at his right hand in shock. Perhaps he had just realized something, and his martial will had broken through again. With that thought, it was time to send someone on their way. The next moment, Lu Sheng returned to his dreams for a great battle with the female war deity. As he closed in step by step, the war deity furiously attacked him with her spear, but it seemed every attack only hit Lu Sheng's afterimage. Under the effect of thunder breath, Lu Sheng had already flashed in front of the female war deity. In the next moment, a violent thunderbolt struck towards her. The war deity quickly used the shield on her left arm to block it, while her right hand spear thrust towards Lu Sheng's throat. At the critical moment, Lu Sheng switched to wind breath, avoiding the attack under its influence and flashing behind her. However, at this moment, a shining purple light emerged in the palm of his hand. Under the influence of the divine illumination of the Underworld King scripture and the crystal observance method, his psychic power expanded tenfold. It seemed that Lu Sheng wanted to take advantage of this move to defeat his opponent. Indeed, the strike exploded on her arm. Although she could not feel pain, the attack of psychic energy still elicited a violent scream from her. Under the agony, the female war deity's face was covered in sweat, and the break in her arm was covered with frost. The next moment, the frost on her arm emitted a dazzling white light, and then the frost rapidly expanded. Following a loud scream that echoed throughout the space, the ground also began to tremble. The war deity's right hand transformed into a giant demonic claw, and as she plunged it into the ground, a several hundred-ton block of ice was lifted in her hand. Then, a massive block of ice, like a divine weapon, stood behind her, and the ice below it quickly expanded. In just a moment, a giant ice phoenix stood across from Lu Sheng, towering like a deity looking down. Lu Sheng was shocked. This was the first time he had seen this move. Could it be a final move that only appears when her health drops to a certain level? After adjusting his breathing, flames wrapped around his body, and he formed a hand seal, shouting, "Grandmaster's will, with the endless blade wheel, cycle of rebirth." Instantly, a huge wheel appeared behind him, which was Lu Sheng's weapon, the endless blade wheel. Driven by the technique, the wheel transformed into a sharp sword arrow, piercing towards the phoenix in the sky. Lu Sheng unleashed his full power in a strike that clashed with the female war deity. Lu Sheng, covered in ice and weakened, knelt on the ground. "This is the 100th battle. Am I going to lose again? This damn thing is the real divine martial art." The female war deity, holding her long spear aimed at Lu Sheng, was about to seal his fate when suddenly, a crack sound came from above, and her mask shattered. Immediately after, her figure turned into ice, shattered, and disappeared into the air. As the female war deity vanished, a dazzling orb of light burst forth from my body. Could this be her memory? "Teacher, I have brought her to you. Her name is Xiaolong Xuan." As an elder examined her, he commented, "Good aptitude. Little girl, from today onwards, you will be an indoor disciple of my glacial martial path." The scene shifts to Xiaolong Xuan curled up and trembling in an ice flow. The teacher asks her what she wants to learn, and she responds resolutely that she wants to learn the spear, because the teacher's strongest skill is the spear technique, and he is the only one at base 1359 who has mastered the 5th realm of spear techniques. The scene changes again. Xiaolong Xuan breaks through to Grandmaster at 17, and base 1359 gains another spear technique prodigy. But when Xiaolong Xuan turns to her teacher, wanting to share the joy of her success, the teacher shakes his head in response. "Your spear technique is still far from sufficient, because your cold spirit sparrow has not yet flown out of the ice river." The scene jumps again. A man covered in wounds says, "Xiaolong Xuan, the base walls are broken, yet you are still here practicing hard. Is your heart made of ice too?" Hearing this, Xiaolong Xuan frantically asks how her teacher is, to which the man sneers, "The teacher is dead. He was a madman. Before he died, he still said not to disturb you." Knowing everything, she steps outside and puts on that cold mask. "If that's the case, then I might as well die too. It's just a pity that my cold spirit sparrow had just flown out of the ice river and I had not yet shared it with my teacher." What follows is Xiaolong Xuan's battle with the beast and her subsequent sacrifice. Memories flood into Lu Sheng's mind like a tide, causing severe pain in his brain. This is all spear technique. After so long, Lu Sheng is absorbing such pure memories for the first time, most of which are related to the spear. Xiaolong Xuan's martial arts treasures are a huge boost to him. His spear technique was already at the intricate mastery realm, and with the absorption of these pure martial memories, he has surpassed the control realm, reaching a higher level. Now he is at the 4th realm of spear technique. Indeed, the gap between grandmasters is still quite significant. Although Xiaolong Xuan was only level 7 at her death, she was undoubtedly a martial arts genius, even capable of challenging level 8, much stronger than Shi Xingning, and considering Shi Xingning had residual core grandmaster skills, it's impossible that Xiaolong Xuan left nothing behind, given she was 10 times stronger than him. After a search, Lu Xing found Xiaolong Xuan's core grandmaster will residual. When Lu Xing touched the orb, it burst into a dazzling cyan blue light that enveloped him. The next moment, his eyes turned cyan blue. "Is this the cold spirit sparrow?" Then a cold spirit spear appeared in Lu Xing's hands, and as he moved, he danced like Xiaolong Xuan, wielding the cold spirit spear. The next moment, an ice sparrow emerged, and this spear move, named Cold Spear Sparrow Domain Spear, could slay a great grandmaster. The next day, Lu Xing returned to the dream, this time directly investigating the identity of Xiaolong Xuan's teacher. The elder was named Shilingyi, a level 10 martial artist, profound in spear technique, creator of the Cold Spear Sparrow Domain Spear. Both had fallen at base 1359. This elder was a level 10 fighter, and the fact that such a powerful technique as Cold Spear Sparrow Domain Spear was not included in the Fire Seed plan indicates how much more powerful the included spear techniques must be. Lu Xing now majors in 3 level 11 techniques, and with his energy, he is almost at his limit. After all, his martial talent is not that strong, relying on 10,000 years of accumulation. Naturally, basic techniques must be practiced step by step, but martial skills do not require the same. The dream world is a vast treasure for him. What he needs to do is continuously hunt strong opponents to inherit their skills. So, set a small goal, hunt Shilingyi. But Shilingyi is in the very center of the base, and he can feel numerous powerful auras there. Better change to a smaller goal first. Just then, Lu Xing's head throbbed with intense pain as 2 opposing forces, cold and hot, clashed in his chest. This was the clash of grandmaster wills. Without waiting to think further, Lu Xing hurriedly activated the crystal observance method. In an instant, within Lu Xing's mental space, 2 opposing wills wills of ice and fire continuously circled each other. Damn, ice and fire are incompatible. Shi Xingning's fire and Zhao Lingshuan's ice. If these two clash, my body is definitely going to explode. The next moment, a crack appeared on the forehead of Lu Xing's mental avatar, and then an invisible force drew the two wills into it. The fire will was placed at the heart, while the ice will was placed above the forehead. It turns out this is what was recorded in the crystal observance method about the Gold Dawn stone form, but he hadn't expected that he could absorb Grandmaster wills. If he could construct a complete Gold Dawn stone humanoid, how many types of Grandmaster wills could it accommodate within the body? Then, my Grandmaster will might just be the ultimate Grandmaster will, a fusion of all these powerful wills. However, just 2 days after the event concluded, Lu Xing's reputation had already spread throughout the entire school. At this time, Fatty suddenly asked Lu Xing what cold weapon he was majoring in, as today was the day to choose electives. Fatty also wanted to see what Brother Xing would choose, thinking if it was suitable, he might follow suit and pick the same. Upon hearing this topic, Lu Xing paused for 2 seconds. After thinking for a moment, he decided to choose the spear path. Hearing this, Fatty's face lit up with surprise, because he had also just decided to choose this discipline, feeling that swords always seemed too light and insubstantial. The scene shifts to the classroom, which is quiet, but as Lu Xing slowly arrives, the glances drifting his way gradually increase. Nationally ranked Huadong is curled up in a corner, uncontrollably trembling, a sequela of being thoroughly defeated by Lu Xing. In the past 2 days, he has been repeatedly awakened by nightmares, haunted by a sense of despair and powerlessness so profound that he dreams of being in a water tank, surrounded by water levels rising inexorably, unable to do anything but slowly be consumed by cold and despair. He has completely fallen prey to a demon of the mind. Is the ascending dragon really so terrifying? No, what is terrifying is not the ascending dragon, but Lu Xing himself. As the bell for class rings, in walks a blonde teacher wearing glasses. The first question Teacher Su poses to the students is, why do we practice with cold weapons and martial arts, rather than rely on the already well-established technology of firearms? The teacher turns on the projector, showing a video of soldiers wielding AK-47s firing at an exotic beast in the distance. However, when the bullets approach the exotic beast's body, they miraculously disappear or are blocked by a mysterious force, making them virtually ineffective against the exotic beast. The students, with expressions of surprise, posed questions to the teacher. Although Fatty had always heard from his father that only martial arts could counter the exotic beasts, the reasons were never discussed, but only Lu Xing knew that this was due to the rules. At this moment, the teacher also slowly explained, it is because of the rules. Humanity has been combating exotic beasts for over 300 years, and to this date, the exploration and research into the origins of the exotic beasts have never ceased. Although no precise answer has been obtained, it is certain that these exotic beasts come from another world. Thus, it's not that we chose martial arts, but rather, martial arts chose us. To survive the invasion of exotic beasts, we can only rely on the power of martial arts. Just then, the class representative raised a question to the teacher. Since our world is influenced by another world, why do these exotic beasts remain so powerful after entering our world without being affected? That's a good question, but I cannot answer it completely, the teacher responded, because I too would like to know the specific answer. Or perhaps the answer is right in front of us, and we are just unwilling to face it. While the other students were still puzzled by the teacher's words, Lu Xing was the first to speak. It's because those exotic beasts have already been influenced by the rules. In their original form, they are even more powerful. The teacher was shocked by Lu Xing's words. She hadn't expected him to see things so clearly. Clearly, the teacher also recognized Lu Xing's point of view, although all of this remains human conjecture without any concrete conclusions. As soon as she finished speaking, the students shouted in unison, "That's not fair." Facing the students' confusion, the teacher responded positively, "Many things in this world are inherently unfair." The class continued for 2 hours before ending. Fatty, at this moment, looked incredulous. He could not imagine what the future of humanity would look like. Those exotic beasts, so immensely powerful before him, were actually in a weakened state. Watching Fatty's dejected face, Lu Xing felt the weight on his shoulders increase. Indeed, the future 10,000 years are doomed, and even with his access to the Fire Seed Resource Library, it's impossible to eliminate the exotic beasts with 300 years of martial arts advancements. In their presence, there is no hope, and the only thing Lu Xing can do now is to keep getting stronger, step by step, to find a sliver of hope for survival. After the class ended, a counselor distributed elective registration forms in the hallway. As soon as Fatty finished filling out his form, he was eager to head to the Spear Path classroom. But while some are excited, others are worried. At this moment, a student was loudly warning his classmates not to choose Spear Path as their major, because the Great Demon King had chosen it, causing many students who had initially planned to major in Spear Path to switch to Great Sword instead. Lu Xing and his companion also arrived at the Spear Path classroom. The students were shocked by Lu Xing's arrival, and as soon as he got there, the class had already ended. The teacher, puzzled, glanced at the two newcomers, not understanding why only 2 new students had come to report today. Then the teacher asked Lu Sheng and his companion to come up and practice, to see what their talents were like. It turns out this one-eyed instructor, Lu Ruqin, teaches the cold weapon spear technique course for freshmen to juniors. The teacher then asked the two to take turns attacking her to check their foundational qualifications. However, Lu Sheng could tell that this female teacher, brimming with vital energy and blood, was still a peak level 6 martial arts expert. At that moment, the teacher was also sizing up Lu Sheng. Is this the recently much discussed Lu Sheng? With a burst of dominance, the teacher swiftly threw her spear towards Lu Sheng, who quickly caught the flying long spear. With a whooshing sound of the spear, the long spear in his hand seemed to become a part of his body, a scene that earned the teacher's praise. Lu Sheng slowly said, "Then, teacher, be careful, I won't hold back." Hearing this, Lu Ruqin smirked, thinking, this kid dares to tell me to be careful? Although I haven't reached Grandmaster level, I have studied the spear path for decades, and even facing a Grandmaster, I don't fall behind. And here's a mere freshman telling me to be careful. However, as soon as she finished her thought, Lu Sheng seemed to be possessed by the spirit of a female warrior. As he moved, a dominating spear intent surged towards the teacher. Caught off guard, Lu Ruqin stood frozen in place, unable to even think, as her pupils dilated with the familiar sensation of impending doom. The teacher could only defend herself, completely losing the brilliance she had at the beginning. At that moment, Lu Ruqin was shocked. She could not have anticipated that this student's spear technique would be so fierce. Along with her shock, the long spear in her hand was knocked away by Lu Sheng. Just like that, a seasoned instructor with 40 years of teaching experience was defeated in her area of expertise by a newcomer. With the long spear pointing directly at her throat, instructor Lu Ruqin swallowed hard. The next moment, Lu Sheng retracted his long spear. "I apologize, Instructor Lu, for any offense." As the instructor watched, she could see the aura of spear mastery surrounding Lu Sheng and sensed that his spear technique had reached the intricate mastery level. Seeing how effortlessly he handled the situation, she guessed he must already be at the control realm. Instructor Lu Ruqin, slightly embarrassed, waved her hand to declare that Lu Sheng could graduate from the cold weapons training course immediately. Wow, this is headline news again. Instructor Lu then mentioned that Lu Sheng was the first student to graduate in just 2 minutes. "Your spear technique is fully matured, and I can tell you don't have the scent of bloodshed on you, so you should head directly to the mission center. You are also cleared to go to the Martial Sage Tower and the cold weapons training room." As Lu Sheng planted his spear into the ground, he bowed to the instructor with his hands clasped. "No need for formalities. I really don't have much to teach you," she replied. It was the first time in her decades of teaching spear techniques that she had announced a student's graduation on their first day. At this moment, Fatty's eyes sparkled with admiration, his respect for Brother Sheng climbing to a new level. Lu Sheng then patted Fatty on the shoulder, saying he was off to the mission center and would visit him when he had time. Meanwhile, in the mission center, the vast hall was lively with teams forming and calls for teaming up echoing around. Following the map, Lu Sheng arrived at this large place, impressed by its size. What kind of mission should I take next? At the front of the hall, there was a huge screen displaying a variety of missions, with higher levels listed towards the top. However, what puzzled Lu Sheng was that at first glance, all the missions seemed to be about capturing fugitives. There wasn't a single exotic beast mission available. Seeing Lu Sheng staring at the screen for a long time, an instructor nearby asked if it was his first time here, explaining that in the morning, they only post fugitive missions, while exotic beast missions are released in the afternoon, and other special missions at night. Hearing the instructor's explanation, Lu Sheng silently walked to a corner screen. It seemed he had come too early and would have to pick a starter mission for now. With a gesture of his finger, he decided, "Let's go with this one." A purple talisman flew into Lu Sheng's hand, and as he took the mission slip to the front desk for registration, the instructor's expression turned to one of shock, for Lu Sheng had picked a AA purple mission. Does this kid even understand the difficulty of this task? He'd better say it was a mistake and wise up quickly. Lu Sheng then cleared his throat and spoke, "This mission doesn't seem quite right for me." Hearing this, the instructor smirked. "See, just as I expected." But before he could react further, a bunch of purple slips fluttered down in front of him, and Lu Sheng asked with a resigned look, "Is there anything more challenging than this AA task?" Seeing Lu Sheng apparently making fun of him, the instructor immediately slapped the table and stood up. "If you're just here to mock, be aware that I can report this to the school and have your credits docked." At this moment, Lu Sheng was as baffled as Lu Sheng. "What? Isn't this the mission reception window? How come coming here to take on a mission would deduct credits?" The young man then impatiently explained to Lu Sheng that A-level missions and above require perfect scores in cold weapons courses and strong practical combat capabilities. "Do you think a freshman like you can handle it? Is that so?" The next moment, Lu Sheng tossed a badge towards the young man. When the young man saw the badge clearly, his eyes filled with disbelief, and he stammered, "Is this yours?" Hearing the hesitant tone, Lu Sheng's mouth twitched with irritation. "Or should I give you a couple of punches to try?" When the young man realized that Lu Sheng was a 6th level martial artist, his attitude changed 180 degrees. Seeing Seeing the other party still hesitating, Lu Xing coldly stated that another requirement had also been met, as just an hour ago his spear arts instructor, Lu Ruqin, had allowed him to graduate, a fact that could be quickly verified. Hearing this, the young man asked Lu Xing for his student ID to register, because A-level and above missions need to be approved by school leaders. You can't just take them whenever you want. But the next moment, the young man's eyes widened in shock, and he fell back onto the ground in panic. "You're that demon king Lu Xing?" Seeing this, Lu Xing was thoroughly enraged. "You're still dilly-dallying. Believe it or not, I will file a complaint against you." Feeling the formidable aura from Lu Xing, the young man cautiously returned the ID to Lu Xing, promising to notify him as soon as the review results were available. Really dragging it out. It's almost mealtime. It looks like I need to head to the Martial Sage Tower first this afternoon. Meanwhile, in another training arena, the nation's 5th-ranked Huadong was gracefully swinging a 40-meter-long sword. The sword technique instructor came over to applaud. "Not bad. For someone who has never touched swordplay before, you've managed to skillfully use basic sword techniques in just 2 hours." Huadong smiled proudly. "They might not know I have a metal manipulation talent, which naturally endears me to cold weapons. Every martial artist with a metal manipulation talent is a genius with cold weapons. I can even feel the sword breathing in my hand." Thinking about this, Huadong's lips couldn't help but curl up in a smirk. "So what about Lu Xing? He isn't here. I don't believe he can be better than me in everything." Just then, a few students behind him exclaimed in shock, "Holy smokes, this is too incredible." Everyone checked the campus network. Lu Xing defeated the spear technique instructor in 3 moves, declared graduation after 2 minutes of class, setting a new record at the 7th Saints Martial University. Hearing this, Huadong was greatly shocked and suddenly fainted. "Teacher, I want to change my major."